because fundamentally you're trying to persuade the parent that the value you're providing with this class is greater than the value of the money that they spend on it. Hi team, my name is Shelley. I'm a teacher on Outschool, and I use this channel to document my experience teaching on Outschool and to share what I learn along the way with you. In this video, you're going to learn about a couple of marketing strategies, how to apply them to your Outschool business, and you're going to come away with 4 actionable insights that you can apply to increase your enrollments. Before we jump into that, if you're interested in more Outschool teacher content, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. That would help me out a ton. So there are a lot of great resources and videos from teachers talking about the concept of funneling. But some marketing researchers and experts actually think that funneling might be an outdated way of thinking about marketing in a contemporary online marketplace. First, let's talk about what funneling means in the general sense. Funneling is the concept of turning customer interest into a purchase. It models how a customer moves from being aware of a product to researching that product to purchasing that product. This is called funneling because we can think of it like a funnel. At the top, you have a lot of people who are aware of the product. In the middle, some of those people become interested and research the product. And then finally, at the bottom, you have a smaller group of people who purchase the product. However, some marketing experts think that this model might not be as relevant as it used to be. And instead, nonlinear models might actually be more applicable to an online marketplace. You might be familiar with the consulting group McKinsey. They help with marketing and branding for a ton of huge companies. They've created one of these nonlinear marketing models called the Consumer Decision Journey model. They made this model based on extensive research into how consumers actually make purchase decisions. There are 4 general touchpoints in the Consumer Decision Journey model. The first touchpoint, initial consideration, refers to when a consumer becomes aware of a product and starts developing some interest in purchasing that product. There are actually 2 products that a consumer is interested in when they are looking at classes on Outschool. The first is the Outschool platform itself. Outschool already puts in a ton of resources into advertising the platform, so luckily you don't really have to worry about that. But the second thing that they're getting interested in once they're on the platform are your classes and you as a teacher. So it's your job to market and brand yourself and your classes both on and off the Outschool platform. The second touch point, active evaluation, is where the consumer starts to research different options in the market that they're looking into. And this is where they will add or remove different brands, different options from their consideration based on their active evaluation. On Outschool, this means looking at different teachers and classes, reading reviews, getting word of mouth recommendations from other parents, really their first impressions in looking through these different options. Consumers are learning more about the market, what kinds of products are available in that market, and ultimately what they'll be interested in purchasing. The third touch point is closure. At this point, they've decided on a product and they've made the determination that the value of that product is greater than the value of the money that they're going to spend on it. The fourth touch point, post-closure, refers to the experience of the consumer after the purchasing process. This is where you have the opportunity to build brand loyalty, or what McKinsey calls the loyalty loop. In Outschool terms, more enrollments. So let's take these abstract ideas, bring them down to earth, and talk about 4 actionable insights that you can use for your Outschool business. First, there are 3 possible approaches you can take to that initial consideration phase. Remember, this was the first touch point in the model. You can market Outschool, you can market just your classes, or you can market both. Again, Outschool already has a ton of resources into getting customers just on the platform, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for you to market Outschool without also marketing your classes. So don't spend any time just marketing Outschool. Then there's the approach of marketing both Outschool and your classes. So this requires you to market two separate products, which is more resource intensive than just if you were to market your classes. There are some places where you would want to do this, where it makes sense to do this, to market both Outschool and your classes. For example, I know some teachers, including myself, will market in local homeschool groups on Facebook. Just make sure you check the rules of your local homeschool groups to make sure that that's allowed. But that's an example of where you're marketing both Outschool as a platform and your classes. Outschool has also provided a specific tool for you to do this: your referral link. This link gives new consumers a $20 credit towards their first class. If you're going to take this approach, use that tool. $20 off of a class is a great way to market both the platform and your classes. The final approach, just marketing your classes, is for people who are already familiar with Outschool as a marketplace and are already in that marketplace looking for classes. This is the easiest of the three approaches because you're only having to market your classes, you're not having to market Outschool. So this is where you want to spend the majority of your time and marketing resources because people are already on Outschool. They're already looking for classes. You just have to market yourself and your classes. So this is where you want to focus the majority of your marketing attention because this is where you can be the most effective. So spending time perfecting your brand to stand out in search results is key in the initial consideration phase. One way successful teachers do this is by including a picture of themselves in the class image. You can do this really easily and free in our favorite design tool, Canva. There's a link down in the description if you're unfamiliar with Canva, never used it before. Check that out, play around with it. It's super easy, super intuitive. And there is a premium version, a paid version, but you can do a lot with the free version. Another thing successful teachers do is really spend time on their class title and their class summary. So your class title, you want at least one solid keyword or key phrase that parents are going to be searching for when they find your class. And in the class summary, you want your value proposition very clearly stated. Remember, your value proposition is what students are going to come away from the class with. The class image, class title, and class summary are going to be the first thing parents see when they're searching for classes on Outschool. So don't skimp on making those as attention-grabbing and polished as possible. The second tool that I'm going to share with you has to do with the active evaluation phase. This is where a consumer is choosing among different brands, or on Outschool, teachers and their classes. At this point, you want to include in your class description all of the information a potential parent and learner needs to make the decision that you are the right teacher and this is the right class for them. Write your description very strategically with two key questions in mind. One, what is the value proposition here? Remember what the learner is going to come away with. And two, can I anticipate any questions that the parent or learner are going to have about this class? The third tool you can use is in the post-closure or post-purchase phase. I would argue that this is the most important part in the consumer decision journey because this is where you build customer loyalty. You taught a great class, the students loved it, everybody had a ton of fun, but your experience with the learner and the parent doesn't end when class is over. At this point, you have a massive marketing win to leverage. Here's what I do right after class. I send a message to all of the parents of the learners that I had in my class, and I include a couple of things. I talk about very briefly what we learned in class, something their learner did really well or something they were really engaged in, and I include one or two or maybe three online resources that the learner can use to learn more about the topic that we talked about in class. And I also, and this is key, I also end with saying, they really seem to enjoy this class. I would recommend this class next. So this isn't pushy, it's not gimmicky, it's just very casually saying, hey, you liked this class, you'll probably like that class. The fourth tool relates to that. Have an overall class listing strategy. A couple of videos ago, I talked about how this is actually my second time teaching on Outschool and how there's a few things that I'm doing differently. One other thing that I'm doing differently is actually having a class listing strategy. Previously, I taught all different classes on all kinds of topics to all different age groups. This is an okay strategy when you're starting out to see what you're interested in teaching, what gets the most engagement, and what age group you enjoy working with the most. But as you get going in your Outschool business, you really want to target a specific age group and a specific topic. It's much, much easier to get enrollments from students that you've already had in other classes than it is to target new enrollments. So one key way to do this is to have a one-time class that is your entry point into your Outschool classroom. That this is really what you market to new enrollments. But then once they complete that class and they really enjoyed it, you sell them on, oh, here's this ongoing class or this flex class or this multi-day class or these other one-time classes. Because if you like this one-time class, then you're probably going to like all of these other classes that I teach. If you're interested in a free summary and question guide about the consumer decision journey, check out my website down in the description below. While you're there, you can check out some other resources and services that I offer for aspiring and existing Outschool teachers. I hope this video was insightful and helpful, and if you have any questions or ideas about marketing on Outschool, post them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.